So we've hemmed and hawed long enough. We got to talk about Trump a little bit,
Okay.
right? Because I'm getting a lot of questions around Trump, right?
Shocking,
right?
yeah.
So the first question is, are you concerned about the Supreme Court overturning Roe? And are you worried that Congress could attempt to further restrict or ban abortion?
Yes and yes. I'm going to tell the tough part, and then I'm going to tell you a good story.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So right now, we don't have one justice on the Supreme Court because the Republicans in the United States Senate refused to entertain President Obama's nominee. Unbelievable, unbelievable. So, the new president will be able to appoint a new justice. I don't think it will completely shift the balance.
No.
Of course. But yes, it's a danger. And so very important. And I mean, I know that Donald Trump said in this election that he thought, well, just the state should make this decision. So how is there a right that you're going to just say, well, you have a right? Some states, women are free, in some places they're not. So that's going to be a big fight. I do believe this Congress, based on just their past activities, they talk about they're going to create jobs and do all this infrastructure. Believe me, target number one is going to be Planned Parenthood and women. That's what they're going to go after. And so I think we're going to see that. But we're ready for them. We've been doing this 100 years. We're going to do it 100 more. And we're ready for the fight. But can I tell you one story about
please.
Texas? Okay. So, because I've been thinking about this. So 5 years ago, the state of Texas, when Rick Perry was governor, decided that his whole idea was he was going to get rid of Planned Parenthood in the state, okay? Even though we'd been there for decades. We're one of the major healthcare providers for women. And so they shut down the women's healthcare program in Texas. And we didn't go away, but 80 health centers, mainly not ours, but women's health centers shut down. And women lost care. They lost cancer screenings. They lost birth control. It was devastating. Well, since that didn't work, then he decided he and the legislature were going to pass bills to restrict abortion so badly that women couldn't get them.
I remember.
And when they did that, you know what happened? The state of Texas erupted. People said enough is enough. And for days on end, folks came to the Capitol in Austin, Texas, people who had never been to the Capitol in Austin, Texas, and stayed until 2 and 3 in the morning testifying against these bills. Young people who had never done anything like this. Folks left their kids with friends in their town. College students hitchhiked. And we stayed till 2 and 3 in the morning, day after day after day, until that incredibly important moment when Wendy Davis did her historic filibuster.
Yes, Wendy.
And it was incredible. Literally, you could not get another person in the Capitol. There were so many people there. One of my favorite ones was a young man named Bo Guidry, 8 years old. Not only sat in the gallery in the Senate with his mom the whole time, but he live tweeted the entire thing. And my favorite tweet from Bo was, I thought I would be spending my summer at Six Flags in the swimming pool. Who knew I would be changing the world?
Oh, wow.
I know. And I'll never forget that last day walking in to the Capitol, and I saw a woman with her young son. He was probably 12 years old, and she pushed him. She said, "Show him your." She said, "Show her your poster." And so this kind of shy kid held up a poster he'd made, a piece of orange tag board he'd written in magic marker. He said, "I still have my mother because of cancer screenings at Planned Parenthood." And his mom, who was kind of crying, just said, "Thank you." And that's who we fight for. Yeah. That's who we fight for. And so we lost that fight because we didn't have the votes, okay? And this is why this story is important. But we never gave up. In fact, we opened new health centers despite them, and we continue to provide abortion services. And people started telling their stories. Women talked about having to go to Mexico to buy pills over the counter and self-terminate a pregnancy without medical help, women having to drive hundreds of miles. And 3 years later, that case went to the Supreme Court, and with 3 women justices, Sonia Sotomayor, Elena Kagan, and Ruth Bader Ginsburg, we say their names. We say their names. those three women, for the first time, a case that was only about women, they brought women's lived experience into that courtroom, and we won that case, and those laws are now unconstitutional.
Yeah.
And but it wasn't just because we had a good lawyer arguing it or because we had the right justices. It's because people never gave up. Yeah. And I think we have to remember that in these times, right? Because we're not going to have the votes in the next few months.
No, we're not.
But we can never give up. We can never give up. And that is, because in the long run, we will win, but there'll be some tough times in between.